Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Cancer Diaries from Wessex Cancer Trust. This series has been put together for Wessex Cancer Trust's Actionman campaign. Actionman is a men's health campaign which encourages men to be aware of the signs and symptoms of cancer and to contact their GP if they have any concerns. This series is an opportunity to hear from a number of men about their experiences of cancer, but also to take a much deeper look at some of the issues around men talking to their GP and what might need to happen for them to feel a little bit easier about opening up. Today, we're talking to Paul Hill, who is a hypnotherapist and NLP practitioner from Everyday Hypnotherapy. Paul also sits on Wessex Cancer Trust Actionman Committee. Welcome, Paul. Thank you very much for joining us today.
No problem at all, Sam.
Thank you. And I know people will be really interested to hear your professional and your personal experiences.
Sure.
Just wondered if we could just start with you telling us a little bit about your experience of cancer.
Other than the fact that both my parents died of cancer, my mum had stomach cancer, 52, so that's 37 years ago. I'm showing my age. And my father had a brain tumour. Personally, currently my brother has a life-threatening cancer they can't actually cure at the moment. I say at the moment because you never know what's going to happen. That's the point of raising the awareness and the funds. I many years ago had a scare myself, and it's about what Actionman is about, because I had a problem where I was convinced I had testicular cancer. I had this pain in one of my testicles, and it went on for ages and ages and ages. And I should have gone to the doctor and ignored it. And I built up this whole scenario about what was going to happen to my family, my friends, everything. And then these pains just died away. And I thought, oh my God, that's great. Maybe it wasn't. And then it came back. And then the whole thing, it was like PTSD. The whole thing went over in my mind again. And even talking about it now, I got that sweaty palm thing. And I ignored it again. And then finally, after about 10 years of this pain coming up, I went to the doctors and he said, have you ever done any contact sports? And I said, I used to do judo and taekwondo. He said, no, have you ever been hit there? I went, no. Oh, yes. Because I used to play prop forward in a rugby team, and in the line out, the scrum half, my scrum half, I don't know how he managed to do it, but he hit me like that with his head. And I remember throwing up with the pain. Turns out that it was scar tissue. It was scar tissue. And it was a build-up of scar tissue that was causing that pain. And I remember when he said, it was almost like I wanted to cry on the spot, because I built up this whole thing about dying and my family and ignored it for, I would say, 10 years. 10 years. And all I had to do was go to the doctor and say, I've got this issue. Could you have a look? Could you check it out? And they did. Afterwards, he said, that's exactly what it is, but we'll check it out. So we had ultrasound, and that was it. Done.
So why didn't you go to the doctor? What stopped you from going?
It was that fear of confirmation that I was right. You know, I'd read up about it. So this was way before Google or anything. So you couldn't scare yourself with Google. I'd read up about it. And because my mum had died of cancer and I'd seen how it had ravaged her body, and my father as well, and I just didn't want to be there. And it was a case of, there was the inner voice saying, well, look, find out, because if you find out, they can do something about it. But the voice of fear way outweighed the voice of reason. It was too scared. And I think that's the issue with a lot of men that I talk to in therapy sessions that I do, and friends. The fear of finding out that it could actually be the big C is way greater than the actual point of going to the doctor. It's not going to happen. And I think so many men are going through that right this minute.
So what do you think would help more men to go to the doctor if they think something might be up? Is it a personality thing? Is it barriers in society? Are they catastrophizing? Are they fearful? Is it ignoring it? What do you think the barriers are there?
I don't necessarily think it's a personality thing. I think it's a training thing from an early age. I mean, men are meant to be men, aren't they?
Yeah.
We're meant to lead from the front. We're not, especially British men. You don't cry. It's a stiff upper lip. And you just deal with problems head on when they become a problem. Well, it doesn't become a problem until you actually go and say to somebody that knows what they're talking about, is this a problem? And we're there as men to bolster our families. We lead from the front, or that's the way we're trained. Fortunately, it's changing, thankfully, but it's one of those things that you just don't want to face up to the fact that you could leave your loved ones behind. And it's really strange, because it's the cancer, if you've got it, that's going to leave your loved ones behind, not the thought process. But you've got to get over that thought process, and it's all about education, which is why Actionman is such a great platform, because it's about education.
And what does masculinity mean to you, Paul? When you hear that word, what does it make you think?
It's really difficult. I know what it makes me think now, but I guess what it used to make me think was exactly that. It's a case of, especially when you're talking about things like testicular cancer, it's like your masculinity is going to be taken away, because all I ever thought was they're going to have to remove bits. They're going to have to remove bits, or if they prod around with stuff like that, like with prostate cancer, could I become impotent? And masculinity is about, it's about being able to perform. It's about being, the man, being the, it's like having the club, hit overhead, take back to cave, and I'll look after you. And all that with certain cancers, that goes out the window, or you think it's going to go out the window, and then it's just about education again.
Do you think going to the doctor makes men feel vulnerable, and vulnerability isn't a masculine trait?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. We're not. We are taught that we can't be vulnerable. We're taught that we're there for the big, strong cuddle. We're there for your wife and your children to put their head on your shoulder. You're meant to be the main support pillar in the community, in your family. And it's like a lot of men, you see them, it's quite weird. If you see men cuddling, okay, they'll always do that. Yes. Yes, they get something out of the cuddle, but they're never going to admit to the other guy that they're getting something out of the cuddle. No. They're never going to admit to that oxytocin, that feeling of, oh, that was really good. It's all, yeah, tap on the back. Women don't do that. If you watch women cuddle, they'll cuddle and they will do an embrace. Men, it's tap on the back. Oh, and we're off.
Yeah. What do you think men feel about going to doctor's surgeries and the overall process of going to the doctor?
I think it's a waste of time. I think that's what goes through the head. Okay. I can get over this. I'm taking up the doctor's time because at the end of the day, it's going to be nothing. I don't even know why I'm here, to be honest. And then you go and sit in the surgery. I've done it myself. You sit in the surgery and you see what are ill people. Yeah. you could tell that they're ill, and you're sat there thinking, oh God, really? I can't believe. So for me, I've got this little pain, which has grown into a big pain, but that guy looks really ill, and she, God, look, and they're coughing and spluttering, and it's like, no, I don't want to be here. It's not the right place for my ailment. And on a number of occasions, I've got out of a doctor's surgery appointment and just made an excuse that I've got a business meeting to go to. It's overrun. So I've never yet had a doctor's appointment that ran on time anyway. Well, they're always late.
Yeah. So there's a feeling that, okay, well, there's others. Apart from the fact that it's hard for me to have got here in the first place, there's actually other people here who need it more than me, which is making it even harder for me to be here.
Absolutely. And in the early stages of most cancers, you're not ill. You've just got this thing that you can't actually put your finger on until they do the investigative bit. But that's what you want. You want the investigative bit. When I I turned 55 and they sent me a colonoscopy. I had a choice: go for the colonoscopy or don't. And I was saddened to find out after I'd had it done that there's way less than 50% take up.
Yeah.
Way less than 50%. And it's just, guys, this is in any other country on the planet, this will cost you thousands of pounds to do, and you're getting it for free to make sure that your gut health is okay.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I guarantee you, if that had been available for my mum 37 years ago, she'd have done it. And that could have been the difference between her surviving another maybe 5 or 10 years or dying at the age of 52.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me a bit about Actionman and how you think this is going to help men.
Actionman is a group of predominantly men, I'm guessing, that have come together with stories like mine, where, you know, the effect that cancer's had on me is because I've lost loved ones rather than me in person. We've got some people that are actually battling cancer at the moment, and they are inspirational, truly inspirational. We're coming together to find out ways with our skill sets in business or years of experience where we can actually say, right, let's get this message out to as many people as possible to say, guys, you really need to take the masculinity bit and put it in a box, and you need to take all the fears and put it in a box and just go to your doctor. And if it turns out that it is a ruse, that there's nothing wrong with you, I've never yet met anybody within the medical profession that has considered their time wasted by telling someone there's nothing wrong with you. That's what they want to say. They don't want to be the ones sitting there with the bad news going, actually, you've got cancer, stage 1, 2, 3, 4. They want to go, do you know what? You're okay. You're okay.
Yeah.
So I think it's to just, I guess it's taking one element of masculinity and going, just be brave, get in there and do it. Do what you need to do. Because if you're thinking about the masculinity side, I've got to be strong. Well, if you need to be strong and you are going to be strong for your family, surely the strongest thing is to find out whether something is wrong with you. Because if you catch it early, there's a chance that they can diminish the chances of death or eradicate it. You leave it a year, 2 years, and then there's no chance.
And all the things that you feel so passionate about being that brave man and the protector of your family, could be taken away if you don't go and speak to someone about it.
Absolutely. It's like the sword of Damocles. It's just a ridiculous situation. But like I said, the fear of finding out is quite often the most empowering of all. And, you know, it's the typical ostrich syndrome, isn't it? Put your head in the sand. Put your head in the sand, because if I do that, then nothing can go wrong. Well, we're here to educate people that yes, it can go wrong, and quite often it does. But just imagine if the message that we put out with the Actionman campaign over the next year, 2 years, 5 years saves one person's life, then it's a job well done. And in our committee discussions, that's all we think about. If you can save one person, imagine you could save 10 or 100. I mean, it would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, and that is the outcome, isn't it? Yeah, that would be a good result for the Actionman campaign, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would, and that's what we're there for. Again, it's back to education. And anything that any of the guys that all the people on the committee, they said we'll do anything to put it out there. We'll do, you know, people that don't like being interviewed. They said no, we'll all give it a go. We'll all do it. We'll tell our stories, because if one of our stories means that somebody sits there and goes, I am actually going to make an appointment now. I'm going to make that appointment to find out. Then that is a winner. Yeah,
it is. This is, you know, we know this is a men's health campaign, and that's the important thing to stress. But, you know, we have talked in our committee meetings about the importance of women. You know, and we know from a lot of stories that men have gone to the doctor because their partner or another female in their life have told them to go, or maybe nagged them to go even. You know, what do you think a woman's role in the Actionman campaign could be?
To get involved in it, and you use that word nag, and I think it's one of those that has a connotation for a lot of men, you know, like the nagging mother-in-law, the nagging wife. But if nagging was one way to help, then nag away. Nag away. My wife would do it for me. I'll mention something and she said, have you done that yet? It's almost like having your own secretary, but this is a personal thing. Have you rung the doctor about that? Have you done this bit yet? Have you? Because we're very good men at boxing things off. Put that into a box and ignore it. I've mentioned it to my wife, and it's almost like in mentioning it, I feel a lot better, but I don't need to do anything now because I've mentioned it to my wife. The great thing about wives is they don't forget. And they have this gratifying habit in this set of circumstances of twisting the knife and going, you know what you mentioned to me last week about you were going to make that appointment? Have you done it yet? Do you want me to do it for you? No. I'll get on and do it. So I think that you can't make a small importance of what women can do to help the men rediscover the bravery that they've lost with regard to their own health problems. Because it's there. Because if my son, daughter, my wife, if there was a problem with them, I'd be right. Let's get in the car. We're going to the doctor now. Get in there. And I'm happy to do that. But when it comes to me, that's a whole different kettle of fish.
That's a whole different thing. Yeah.
So it's my wife will be the one, and I think getting wives involved in this, or grandmothers, or nieces, nieces, whatever it happens to be, educating them, saying, yeah, action man it might be, but it's action people.
Yeah. Okay. Paul, if a mate confided in you that something might be up, what would you advise them to do?
I'd put them in the car. Me personally. I've had it happen before, and it's right, okay, because if you don't make the appointment, I'm going to make it for you. There's no two ways about it. I wouldn't want a friend of mine to go through what I went through, and mine was just that irrational fear for years, which was stupidity on my part. But I wouldn't, if a friend confided in me that something was going on, I would give them 24 hours. And if they hadn't do it, I say, well, if you don't sort something out now, bearing in mind I'm a hypnotherapist and an NLP practitioner, everything's about confidentiality. But you haven't come to me because of my hypnotherapy and NLP skills. You come to me as a mate. So there's no such thing as confidentiality, because if you don't get it sorted out, I'm going to go to your wife. I'm going to sort this. We're going to go to the doctors and get this one done. I think you just need to do that. You just need to be a bit more proactive, because I've had a very good friend die in my arms, and there was nothing we could have done. He died from a pulmonary embolism, so we didn't even know he was ill. Had there been any signs beforehand about that illness for him, I'd have dragged him kicking and screaming to the doctors, because he was such a good friend of mine. And I wouldn't want anybody to go through what we went through as friends, and his family, over an illness that we couldn't have done anything about. Imagine that you've got a friend and you knew they confided in you something was wrong, and you chose to do nothing, and then 6 months down the line, or a year down the line, they went to the doctor, and the doctor's gone, sorry, there's nothing we can do. Had you come to see us 6 months ago, there might have been a chance. No, that's never going to happen with my friends. No. And yeah, but then I guess, I'm bolshy. So I've got that character trait. But I think for anybody else, it's if somebody tells you that, then please just encourage them in whatever way you can to go and seek help. Whether that's to speak to their family about it. Obviously the best thing is to make an appointment to go to see your GP or whatever. But just give them that support, that gentle support, saying, have you made that phone call yet? Would you like me to make the phone call? Would you like me to come with you to the appointment to make sure that you get there? It's those gentle little bits of support, rather than kidnapping them and bundling them into the boot of your car.
Okay, thank you. I think that's really good advice, because I know from when I speak to people about their stories, a common thing that comes up actually is that, that if they've got to the point where they have a cancer diagnosis, some friends find that really hard to deal with themselves, whether that's embarrassment or fear, or they just don't know what to say. It can be a difficult thing to be on the other side of as well, can't it?
I think it's because you don't know what to say. I mean, if somebody is, we're all on this earth for a number of heartbeats. We just don't know how many.
No.
When you get given a diagnosis of cancer or any other disease, then you're giving yourself almost like a finite number of heartbeats, even though we've all got a finite number of heartbeats. But it's very much, right, I've got this particular type of cancer. Studies show that it's got this particular survival rate and this number of years. So I am 50. There's nobody lived past 60. That's a finite thing. So I guess it's really hard for people to talk about it. And as we've discussed, when my mum had cancer, it was very much, I got the big C. Nobody mentioned the word cancer.
No.
it was taboo. Now, thankfully, people talk about cancer more openly, but way less than we'd like them to talk about it. You don't want people to take the edge of its importance,
no
as it being commonplace, but it is commonplace. You know, I can't remember the statistics, but 2 in 3 of us or something like that now, so that's pretty common. And it's so common that you'd have thought we'd talk about it. But it's way better than it was 10 years ago, 20, 30, 40 years ago. So we are learning, but we want the learning curve to go like that rather than that.
Which is the importance of Actionman, isn't it? And just reaffirming that, getting it out there.
It is in whatever way it is, whether it be hard-hitting commercials, stories that would make a glass eye cry because they're so sad, whatever it takes. Some people respond to hard-hitting stories, some people respond to just an advert that they've not seen before with Actionman on it, and whatever. If it encourages, as we said, that one person to make a decision that they wouldn't have made without Actionman, it's got to be worth it. And anybody wants to get involved with us, you know, they can get in contact with Wessex Cancer, they can get in contact with Actionman. We're hoping that, and you know, most of us on the committee are like 50 plus, 55 plus ish. It'd be lovely to have, you know, people that are younger than us that can appeal to a different demographic.
Yes, definitely.
You know, so anybody that wants to go to the websites or whatever, it'd be just lovely, and to share other stories. You know,
that's great. Thank you so much, Paul, for taking the time to talk.
It's not a problem.
Thank you. I hope you found this episode insightful. Don't forget, if you need any more information about the signs and symptoms of common male cancers, or you'd appreciate some support, or if you'd like to get involved with the Actionman campaign, please head to www.actionman.wessexcancer.org.uk. Thank you.